let your interactions be gracious and attractive so that you'll have the right response for everyone. Madam Toastmaster of the meeting, members of the executive, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. From a child, my grandmother would always be saying to me, "Maqueda, you're too rowdy. Why you have to be so loud?" It seemed as if I was always in a fit of rage or in a fit of laughter. Now picture this. One day, I got into this maxi and my cell phone rang. It seemed as if as soon as my cell phone rang, the maxi driver turned up the music. So it prompted my response, "I'm on the phone!" To which he replied, "Well, get out!" I was in the middle of nowhere, and needless to say, I was livid. I couldn't understand why that insolent maxi taxi driver would want to take his rage out on poor little me. That would haunt me for some time, and it continued to ruminate in my mind. Up until the time I heard that a soft answer turns away wrath, and your actions should be gracious and attractive so as to give the best response to everyone. Could that have changed the outcome of my situation? I decided to do some role play. So the first one, as we heard, went like we just heard. The phone rang, he turned up the radio, and I shouted, "I'm on the phone." He shouted back. You know what he shouted back? And I was in the middle of nowhere. Not a success story, I'm not proud of it. So I tried the second one in my mind. It went something like this. The phone rang, he turned up the music, and I said, "Excuse me, drive," on the phone. I determined a 50-50 success rate there. It's either he could say, "Well, come out," or maybe he could turn down the radio. The third one I looked at was, the phone would ring, he would turn up the volume again, and I would say, "Excuse me, driver, could you turn down the music a little bit, please? I'd like to take this call." I am sure that would solicit a more favorable response. You think?
Yes.
Gracious and attractive. That might have been the right response for him. But what about the former Minister of Health? She was on a political platform one time, and she became so angry at the jeering of the supporters that she got up, pushed the speaker aside, and said, "We have heard you, now shut up." When it was time for her to speak, the crowd refused to listen unless they received an apology from her. She gave one, but it went like this. "To those of you who think I should apologize for telling you to be quiet, I'm sorry, okay?" Gracious and attractive? Was that the best response to everyone? What about the CEO of BP? In the midst of the after the oil spill, in the midst of protesters, everybody was angry, fearful about losing their jobs and their homes. They were even concerned about their health. How would this oil spill affect them for the rest of their lives? When he was asked how he felt about it, he said, very apathetically, as I might add, "I just want this to be over. I want to get back to my life. Get back to your £10 million a month life while people are losing their jobs and their homes." Not gracious, not attractive. He lost his job. Permit me to share one more incident with you. Way back when I was a child, I was going to school one morning when I saw this woman in a manhole on the main road. Big commotion on the main road. "Oh God, this woman fall down in a hole. What are we going to do? Call the police, call the ambulance, call somebody, get a rope." I finally made it to school, and I hear my teacher making an announcement. "Class, Oliver is not feeling very well this morning as his mother fell into a manhole and broke her leg." I erupted in a gale of laughter. I couldn't contain myself. You know, I don't think that was the most attractive response, but that might just be me. Shane Ram, in his discourse on emotional intelligence, said that these ungracious, unattractive responses were the result of emotional hijack. He described it like this. We have two parts that we think with, two parts of our brain, the emotional side and the rational side. And emotional intelligence dictates that when something happens, we think about it first in our emotional side, and then we think about it in our rational side. The rational side allows us to For the very least, come up with a socially acceptable response. So I'm thinking that if I was a little bit more socially, emotionally intelligent back then, the thought process would go something like this. Yes, that is a funny story. Maybe I should laugh. That would be my emotional side. My rational side would say, yes, that is a funny story, and you feel like laughing. But that might not be very kind to Oliver. Furthermore, people do not generally laugh at the misfortune of others, and that would not be very gracious of you. The least you could do is wait till you go home to laugh. Now that seems like a lengthy process, but for the very least, it would have saved me the scowl from Oliver and the breaking of a friendship. He was my dear friend. Be gracious and attractive, and let your response be suitable for everyone. Toastmasters, this is something that I think we can all benefit from. Before I go, I'd like to leave you with advice from my 3-year-old cousin. You see, I had the, call it what you want, privilege, the misfortune, the task of teaching her ABC.
Oh.
And for some strange reason, when I pointed to the letter A, I would get no response. When I pointed to all the other letters, she would know them just fine. So I decided to start again from the letter A. Miss Reese, what letter is this? No response. Miss Reese, what letter is this? No response. I asked her about 5 times. Eventually I exploded. Corey's Gibbons, what letter is this? Still no answer. Corey's, can you hear me? Yes, sweetheart. Then why aren't you answering? I'm trying to know. Ghostbusters, I want you to listen, pause, and try to know. Try to know what is the most gracious, the most attractive response for everyone. I thank you.